Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rewind Room. It has been too long. Even though it's only been a month since we've done an episode, it feels like it's been much longer. I cannot believe this whatsoever. I'm so happy to be back. Recording again and doing these episodes, because this is one of my favorite things of all time, and I know that my co-host can speak this as well. And to introduce my wonderful co-host, I would like to introduce you to the one and only, the legend, the GOAT, my good friend, Ramona Mejia. What's good, my friend?
Oh yeah! Wow! You're a hype master for sure, my friend. I appreciate you.
Well, that's what not recording for so long does.
There you go. But it is good to be back. Oh man, let me tell you, I've been anticipating this episode for quite a while, and not just because we took a break, but the content that we're about to talk about is pretty funny. It's pretty funny, and it makes me happy to think about as well. But oh man, it is good to be back on a routine. To look forward to episodes coming out, and also talking to you guys, and also sharing new information with everyone and learning new things as well.
Absolutely. And this episode is one of my favorites. And there's a reason why, because when we first started Rewind Room, we talked about the many things that we want to talk about, go over, discuss, share with you guys. But this one in particular kind of holds a special place in my heart. And the reason I say that is because the thing with this topic is it's something that both of us experience. It's something people experience every day, but it was a bit of a different experience way back when, in a sense. And that is the topic of commercials. And when I say commercials, we're talking about television commercials.
Yes, sir.
And here's the thing. Television commercials are some of the most iconic pieces of marketing that happen on a daily basis. We get them to this day still, but here's the thing. I feel like with commercials, they become a part of our culture. They become a part of our upbringing. And moreover, they're memorable just because, the iconic jingle, the iconic marketing strategies that they put behind it, and sometimes just the cool aesthetics,
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to be talking about iconic commercials today with you, my friend.
Me too. And like you were saying just now, it's something that everyone has experienced. If you've had a TV in your life, if you've ever watched TV in your life, you were most likely subjected to commercials. Now, if you're used to streaming, or at the advent of streaming, we didn't really have commercials, but now even if you stream, you can't escape commercials.
Nope.
So they're everywhere. No matter what language you speak, no matter what channel you're on, you're going to see these 10 to 60-second little blips of marketing. No matter what you're watching, you're going to see these things, and you're going to see multiple commercials in one showing, and you're going to see multiple commercials per network. And it's just something that you literally cannot escape.
100%. Commercials are just a part of the culture. You can't escape it, even though you have a skip button now on YouTube. YouTube ads are not the same as television commercials. It's something very different. Yes, I'll admit that, it gets annoying. There's times I want to change the channel when commercials come on. But back in the day, now I wish I hadn't changed the channel for certain amounts of time with commercials. And even when I did change the channels, networks got smarter, and then they all started running ad breaks around the same time, trying to make it to where it's like, nope, you can't escape. It's like, oh, you want to go from NBC to ABC? Guess what? We're going to run commercials at the same time. So you got a laundry detergent commercial over here. Guess what? We're going to give you a commercial over here for Pedigree dog food,
It was so random. It was. Buy my life insurance. This, that. Oh, yeah. Do you have diarrhea?
Pretty much. I mean, Pepto-Bismol still says that. Let's be real.
Oh, man. I'm going to sing that jingle a little bit later on in the episode.
Oh, my gosh.
Stay tuned.
Oh, boy. I'm a little nervous about that, but okay. Sounds good. Well, anyways, we're going to go ahead and kick things off with probably the most iconic commercials that are out there. And it is one of the biggest selling points for this event. I mean, aside from the game itself, which is already iconic in itself, this is also the most iconic part, and it is Super Bowl commercials.
Do-do-do-do,
Do do do
do-do-do-do-do.
do 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 do. They actually did use that song in a Geico commercial a while back, so I thought that was kind of cool.
I feel like you have to do the final countdown for any major event.
Oh,
Any
you do.
major event. I don't care what it is.
100%, absolutely. But the Super Bowl, as you probably all know, is probably one of, if not the most viewed live event every year.
In the United
In the
States.
United States, millions of dollars are spent on it. There are over 90 cameras in that arena. And the reason I know this is because one of my ex bosses actually learned about this with the Super Bowl, and one of my good friends who I freelance work with in the television world actually worked a Super Bowl at one point. So he
Wow.
gave me some statistics based on that. So basically, the Super Bowl in America is literally one of the biggest events. Shops will shut down for this event. Places will close at certain times. You go anywhere in, especially in my town, you go out anywhere in the middle of the game, it's pretty quiet. And it's
Oh yeah.
usually people just trying to run and get something really quick because they forgot either nacho dip or they forgot
Mm-hmm.
ketchup or a condiment. And most of the times you'll even see cashiers checking on their phones, looking at
Mm-hmm.
stats for the game, or they're playing the game live on their phones if they have a subscription to do it.
And good luck grocery shopping either the day before or the morning of, because that is hard.
It's
People
hard. It's
people
scary. It is
yeah.
scary.
Oh yeah. It's like the Black Friday of sporting events, let's be honest.
It is 100%. And but one of the most iconic parts of the Super Bowl as well, aside from the game, the aesthetics, people wanting to see their teams play, are the commercials. In
Oh
fact,
yeah.
it is probably one of the biggest selling points of the Super Bowl. So many
Mm-hmm.
companies fight, literally fight, to get their ads on the air during the Super Bowl.
Quite literally. And to give a very brief background on what we mean,
Yes.
in 1986, NBC literally paid homage to advertisers with a moment of silence, where halfway through the
Oh,
pregame
wow.
show of Super Bowl 20 at 4 p.m., everything fell silent as a clock on screen ticked off the seconds. Viewers were able to literally race to the fridge or go to the bathroom without missing any of the sports action or even the commercials. That's literally how big of an impact commercials had. And, the NFL knew that too. And
Yeah.
so did its sister networks.
I wish they did
And
that today, honestly.
literally, because we want to see these commercials. Let's be honest. Now,
Mhm.
most people go for the halftime show and the commercials.
Right.
The game is
Oh, the
still
halftime
a
show
hot
too.
ticket, but the halftime show and the commercials, that's a big selling point for a lot of
1000%.
families.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, really, to be honest with you, when you watch the Super Bowl every year, most of the time, all of us, we're all like, oh, we want to watch the game, everything. And then almost everyone else who's not a sports fan, we're like, we're just here for the commercials. There's people who will
Mhm.
literally say, we're just here to watch the commercials. So
I don't really hate to admit it, but I am gonna admit it. I'm one of those people for sure.
fair enough. Fair enough. That's fair. Yeah. I
Yeah,
do like to watch the game. Depends on who's playing.
that's a fair point for
Um,
sure.
Depends if I got if I have a stake in it, but otherwise most of the time I do also watch for the commercials as well. So one thing about Super Bowl commercials I just want to give you guys a little background on is it wasn't always really like this also. When the Super Bowl would happen in the past, especially when the Super Bowl first started, it was just like any other sporting event, as any sports championship. You have your fans, you have people who want to be there, watch the game, but commercials were just pretty standard for the things you'd see on television.
Hmm.
This all really changed kind of a little bit in the 70s. There were a couple commercials that would air during the Super Bowl that did become iconic. The first one that I learned about honestly was Master Lock. Master Lock aired a commercial during the Super Bowl. I think it was in, I want to say 76 or 77. It's called Tough Under Fire. It's basically this guy shoots a 30 caliber rifle
Cool.
at a master lock and the lock doesn't break. And it's to demonstrate that. And I'm trying to remember the
Whoa.
catchphrase for that, but that ad went crazy popular, became crazy popular. I don't know if I want to say viral because things didn't really go viral back then.
Yeah. The equivalent too,
The
though.
equivalent, but that commercial blew up basically.
Wow.
And it was aired during the Super Bowl. So people
Wow.
started kind of seeing this shift. And then probably one of the most popular ones, which was a commercial that wasn't originally made for the Super Bowl, but was aired during the Super Bowl in the, I think it was the late 70s, early 80s. It's an iconic commercial featuring Steelers player Mean Joe Green and one of my favorite
Yep.
football players of all time. Because I'm going to say it, I am a Steelers fan. So obviously, the commercial is one of the most iconic commercials. Basically, he's played a game, he's hurting, he's sore, and he goes down the tunnel, and this little boy comes to him with a Coke and asks him if he's okay, and he says, "Do you want my Coke?" He drinks the Coke, and then the kid kind of walks away a little dejected, like, "Yeah, I offered you a sip, not my whole Coke, all right, see you around." And then he looks at him and says, "Hey, kid, catch," and tosses him his game jersey.
A Coke and a smile makes me feel good, makes me feel nice around. That's the way it should be. I like to see the whole world is smiling with me. Coca-Cola as life. Have a Coke and
Thanks, Mean Joe.
smile.
Now, and for someone who I'm not a football fan, and I had to look this video up, and I realized the importance of this is because Mean Joe Green had a persona of being a stoic, quiet, very professional, and scary-looking guy, and that's what makes this commercial iconic because it shows him in a different light. And for those of us who aren't necessarily familiar with football or even Mean Joe Green, that's the equivalent of, say, insert any modern day football player or celebrity who is known for being quiet and professional and very serious, taking on a less serious role. So that's actually pretty cool.
It is cool. And the thing with a guy like Mean Joe Green too is, when you look at his stats and his player profile, I mean, he was one of the most dominating players in that time. I mean, he was a defensive player, but I mean, at the same time, it was just absolutely incredible. The ad is probably one of the most iconic pieces of television history. It was part of Coke's "Have a Coke and a Smile" campaign. And so I definitely think that really kind of started a whole new era for these kind of commercials.
Yeah.
Now, my friend, I believe there was a time, and I think this year was 1984, when Super Bowl commercials changed forever.
Yeah, they became cinematic.
Absolutely. And my friend, how about I let you talk about this?
Now, when it comes to Apple, we know it as the forefront operator in tech. We know it as the reliable and dependable company that has allowed us to talk to our friends, that it has allowed us to make documents, even in the 80s and 90s. But what we also know it for is the iconic 1984 Macintosh commercial directed by the one and only Ridley Scott. And the ad changed the game. It literally changed the game. It established the Super Bowl as the unofficial high holiday for capitalism, quite literally. And for those of you who don't know, we're talking about the classic Macintosh ad where a woman hurls a sledgehammer through a big screen that is sort of mimicked by the Big Brother.
Based on George Orwell's 1984.
It's based on a very Orwellian landscape, very dystopian, very Pink Floyd's The Wall vibes. And it breaks it, and it's black and white, and then she breaks it, or blue and white, and she breaks the screen, and everything, just color comes out. And that's where you see the Apple logo, and it says Macintosh, and that changed the game.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests of vain contradictory thoughts. Our unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Now I'm going to actually change the mic over to you, John, because you know a little bit more about its relevance in society now.
100%. So here's the thing with that ad. That ad was huge because it elevated the playing field for commercials. This was a very cinematic commercial, which really hadn't been seen before. And it was directed by one of the greatest directors in the business at the time. And you have to figure that, at this time, everyone was trying to figure how do we elevate this platform? How do we move ahead? And Apple was about to drop Macintosh. So you have to figure too, Apple was entering a whole new level in their company as well, because they had made computers and stuff. But this is when they launched the Mac, the device we still use to this day. For those of us who use Mac OS to this day, or use any kind of Mac software or Apple computer stuff, know this because of the fact that Apple, is one of the leading brands in technology. So the thing is that when this commercial first aired, it was announcing something that was going to be game-changing and revolutionary. So they're like, how do we reflect this? And that's when they came up with this commercial. And it's absolutely one of the coolest things. And the cool thing is the text actually makes it sound like it's going to be this revolutionary thing, which it was. It says, on January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984. Play on words, by the way.
Wow. Yep.
So you have to figure, with that whole thing, it changed the game because it showed that, something that's cinematic can sell. And something can, it can change the game for everything, And
mind you, 20 years prior to that commercial, critics were literally saying that paid commercials got in the way of the viewing experience of the Super Bowl. Can you believe that?
Absolutely. I mean, realistically, the reason that changes because of that commercial, the thing with it is, and I think the thing that made it legendary too is it only aired once. That commercial has not aired again since then. Okay, I guess I'm technically lying because in order to get nominated for like commercial of the year or something like that, it had to air before the Super Bowl to be eligible. So there was a small station, I think it was in Iowa or something, that ran the commercial on a very low key base. So basically on a station nobody watched. So
so they were the first teaser then.
They were the first teaser. So if anyone out there knows of this or has seen it, let us know, because seriously, I kind of want to know if somebody got to see it before the Super Bowl, not knowing it was going to be this legendary thing, So
yeah, and no one could have foreseen how big commercials would have been or how they would have gotten, like say Apple did, because even in the 1960s to 1970s, or actually at the beginning of the Super Bowl history, the Super Bowl was actually in January. Yep. And because networks got smart and they realized you can make a lot of money hosting these big time commercials. Let's just put it this way.
Yep.
In the 1960s, 70s, a minute on screen was equivalent to $150,000.
Yeah.
And that was making TV networks big money. Now, you fast forward 20 years, Apple was arguably making those networks their year's worth of money just on that one ad right there. And they were not going to show it at one point? That's insane to me.
And the fact that they only let it air once, I think, is probably what speaks to the legendary status of that. And yes, Steve Jobs did use it to introduce Mac at a panel as well, which I thought was impressive as well. What other ad are you going to use? Let's be real. You're going to create a whole nother pitch. It's like you already have something that's legendary, might as well use it. So.
Yeah, and then after Apple, the standard just elevated and everyone wanted to make something cinematic. They wanted to make something memorable. So much so that to this day in 2026, 1 minute of airtime is equivalent to 16 to 20 million dollars depending on the time that you air. And that's just 1 minute. That's just 1 minute. So when you see a 2-minute Dorito commercial, count on your fingers how many millions that costs just for them to air that. It's pretty insane.
It's wild. I mean, and let's be real. Without that commercial, you don't have a lot of other iconic commercials. You don't have the Budweiser Clydesdales.
Mhm.
You don't have the iconic Doritos commercials, the iconic stuff like that.
Pepsi.
Pepsi. You don't have the Cindy Crawford commercial. There's a lot of commercials that would not have been possible without this one and without elevating it and challenging these people to look at more unique concepts. You know what I mean? Because like even now you have commercials like, I don't know if you remember this one. It was from like the early 2010s. It was for Volkswagen. It was this little kid that was dressed up as Darth Vader and he's trying to use the Force on everything. And then when he puts it out to try and use it on his dad's Volkswagen, it starts, the car actually starts, and then he's like freaking out, but really his dad just hit the remote start.
Oh man, you just uncovered a memory that I had just deep in the recesses of my mind. Oh my gosh, I vividly see it now. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have concepts like that because people started getting creative after that, and we're trying to find ways. I mean, now they're using properties like Star Wars to help advertise their product. You know,
Yeah.
they're using other IPs, you know, to help them do this kind of stuff, and I think it's just incredible.
Yeah.
To kind of, you know, I mean, Doritos did the same thing. They were one of the biggest holders of the ad in there as well. I mean, I think my favorite one, and this is just me. I don't know if you remember this one. This mom invites, I think it's like her boyfriend or something over. She's dating this new guy and she has a little boy. And then she tries to make introductions and she's like, hey, you play nice. And he's trying to be all cool and everything. But you can tell the little boy knows that the guy's, you know, probably not great news. You know, he's trying to make a bond and then he slaps the guy and he goes, keep your hands off my mama and keep your hands off my Doritos.
I remember that commercial. That's fantastic. The Doritos reigns is top for me. There isn't a Super Bowl where I don't anticipate the Doritos commercials most out of anyone. Do you remember the goat commercial with the Doritos and the Doritos eating the goat eating the Doritos? Came out a couple of years ago, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but
Maybe.
Oh,
I have to go
man.
back and watch that, to be honest with you.
Doritos is just top. Now, that actually leads me to my final question in this segment. Since I'm sure you've watched almost every Super Bowl to date, okay.
I don't know about every, but
Well, the ones that you can remember, do you think that there's a decade where Super Bowl commercials peaked?
I would say the whole period, and this is going to be a massive stretch, but this is my honest thoughts.
Okay.
I would say from 84, when that Apple commercial dropped, all the way to the mid 2010s, I would say about 2015.
That is a stretch. And to be completely honest, I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree with you.
Because I feel like that's the era when people were most creative, they were most willing to take chances, and they were more willing to actually be personable while pushing the product. Because, I mean, between that time, I mean, Budweiser steps it up with the Clydesdales. And the Clydesdales now are a major spectacle with the Super Bowl. In fact, that is a selling point for the Super Bowl. Sometimes they will even wheel out the carriage with the Clydesdales onto the field. Like, it's that iconic.
Yeah. And those years, they solidified the fusion between sports, commerce, and art. And that you don't really see that often.
And they pull at your heartstrings sometimes because, I mean, they tackle tough subjects. I mean, obviously, in our 9/11 episode, we talked about the one that aired during 9/11 where they bowed to the city of New York. And then, you know, then there's other ones where it's like there's one dog, I think he gets lost or something, and the Clydesdale kind of raises him. And then they become close and he helps the dog get home eventually. The one they just aired this last year with a baby eagle that falls out of the nest. And the Clydesdale lets him ride on his back, and then finally when he's old enough to fly, the eagle takes off flying, and then the song Freebird kicks in by Leonard Skinner. So Budweiser's clever with that, but in addition to that, I mean, they had the frogs, they had a bunch of other stuff, and then you have, Doritos, and then you have, obviously every beer brand. Then you have companies like Best Buy, who get people in there like Ozzy.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite commercials as well with Ozzy and Justin Bieber. I mean, especially at the time when the Justin Bieber hate was at its highest. So,
Oh man, yeah.
and Oz, and the most iconic thing, hearing Ozzy going, "What in the fuck is a Bieber?" This
R.I.P.
iconic
Ozzy,
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Ozzy, absolutely. So I would say that whole period was probably the time that Super Bowl ads peaked.
Yeah, I have nothing to argue with that because I absolutely agree with that. I'm not saying they currently don't try, but there was a period where people stopped what they were doing, even if you were freaking doing your taxes in the middle of the game or whatever,
Yeah.
If that sibling that doesn't like football or your mom or your dad or whatever, they would come in just for those commercials. And what a unifying way to share a message, not only from the brand itself to the consumers, but a message that goes beyond being sold something. I'm thinking of I think it's the Doc Morris Take Care commercial. It's this elderly man. You can see him lifting weights. You can see him
Yeah. Uh-huh.
physically trying to train his body. And it turns out all of this training was so that he can pick up his, I think, grandchild to put an ornament on the tree.
Right.
And that it's such a humanizing experience to see these things, especially from these multi-billion-dollar companies, relaying a sense of humanity back to us in the middle of something like a sporting event that at times can divide us.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. I'm just going to put this out here really quick and then we'll move on. But I feel now things are just very overstimulated, competitive, and flashy to the point where they forget about kind of those little messages and those little things that made these commercials special. And now it's mostly just about selling money and looking cool for 15 to 20 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, celebrities and influencers are more expensive than being able to hire somebody who is more cinematically driven. But
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, I understand it's whatever's paying the bills.
To an extent, yeah. I do get it. I mean, especially with the way the industry works and everything. Yes, it is about money. Yes, you got to make your money back somehow. And it just got really formulaic. But again, formulas.
I don't agree with it, but I understand where they're coming from.
Exactly, and I'm the same way. So yeah. But anyways, transitioning from the Super Bowl, which obviously we know is the biggest time for commercials. Another most iconic thing we just kind of brought up also was celebrity collaborations.
Yes,
celebrities being able to sell products is kind of a huge thing. I mean, you see somebody somebody famous, holding your favorite soda, holding your favorite, brand of chips, your favorite.
Robert De Niro holding a nice crisp glass of Diet A&W or something.
Yep, exactly.
Like that.
Is wild because, to see how big the commercial industry is also in relative comparison to the film industry, the music industry, and all these other things. Because not only are they just advertising their music and their movies too, but they also help advertise everyday products.
Yeah, and I think the tone of it shifted too within the past couple of decades because when we were younger, it felt like the celebrities being or endorsing these brands, it felt, if anything, cool, and it felt representative of a brand, and it also showed that oh, this brand is big enough to afford said celebrities.
Yeah.
And unfortunately now with, streaming services taking away a lot of the celebrity income or actor income and stuff like that, lack of DVD sales, things like that, celebrities are sort of forced to do commercials nowadays to where you sort of see celebrities say you see freaking John Hamm selling Twinkies. It's kind of sad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Oof, I can tell your wallet's being hit right now. And I know that's not the case for a lot of celebrities. I'm sure they still make a lot of money and make a lot of money with commercials.
Yep.
But before it was sort of like a badge of honor. And now it's sort of like, are you doing well?
Oh, excuse me. Exactly. Yeah. Sorry. I had a yawn there for a second, but
no worries.
No, absolutely. I 100% hear what you're saying because, back in the day, it felt like, oh, a celebrity's gonna market this product. It feels like, oh, this person's not only special, but they're making me feel special.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like
Yeah.
they actually care. They want me to have this product, not just because of corporate greed, but because of the fact that they truly believe it's a good product.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and they believe it's good for you too. I mean, in the way that they do it, and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. One of my favorites always is when like sports players advertise products. So like baseball
Mm.
players, football players.
Yep.
Those are the celebrities I actually like more sometimes than like the movie stars. I mean, because movie stars usually get put in like more glamorous stuff like makeup commercials, watch commercials, fashion
Yeah.
commercials, but sport players get more diversified. They'll advertise
Yeah.
anything from beer to, the most lighthearted of
Hygiene
like chips,
products.
hygiene products, stuff like that. And I feel like they have a bigger playing field with how they advertise things at times than
Yeah.
like your average celebrity who's like a musician, a
Yeah.
content creator, an actor, stuff like that.
It makes sense that the agents or the managers of said celebrities are a little bit more picky because they have a brand and they have like a facade to uphold.
Oh,
Whereas an
100%.
athlete, you create said facade in your head because they're really only showing you a side of them that's athletic. So you sort of have the freedom to put these new faces or these
Mhm.
faces, these athletic faces behind products that you wouldn't normally see. Like say you wouldn't see Britney Spears talking about tampons, you know what I mean? But you
Yeah.
would see Serena Williams doing it. Do you know what I
Yes,
mean?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. 100%. And also I grew up during the steroid era of baseball.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
I saw a lot of, people, especially prominent baseball players, because I'm a massive
Yeah.
baseball fan. I'm actually probably a bigger baseball fan than I am a football fan, if I'm going to be honest with you. Even though
Yeah.
I watch the Super Bowl, even though I understand football, baseball is my sport, basically. So
Hmm.
in the early 2000s, you had people like, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire, Barry Bonds, people who are setting these high numbers, and they would often get put in marketing ads for certain things.
Mm.
And my favorite one actually was, I'm just going to say this real quick. It was a Pepsi commercial with Ken Griffey Jr. It says, what does Ken Griffey Jr. see when he's looking at a fastball? And then the guy pitches, and then it goes into slow-mo, and then he goes, find the seams, it's the splitter. No, the cutter. And then he starts thinking, did I lock my keys in the car? And he glances over the peripherals and goes, is that Sammy Sosa going for my Pepsi? And Sammy's trying to take his Pepsi off the bench. This was an all-star commercial. And all of a sudden, then Sammy's trying to open it. And Ken Griffey, when the ball gets him, he hits the ball in the direction of the dugout. And then he goes,
See, that's funny. That's
exactly.
freaking funny. And that's also putting in an athlete not in their element, but also putting them back into their element. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's taking them out, but also putting them back in
And
to where you're not taking them, as a joke.
exactly. And both of them were home run hitters. I mean, yes, one of them used a cork bat and steroids, but you get what I'm saying. Like, these were two of the biggest home run hitters of their generation. And then at the end, he has the Pepsi and he looks at Sammy. He's kind of like, you want a little? And then when he goes to take it, he hits his hand away. So
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly, it's cool stuff like that. But that's why I think I liked like sports athletes selling products maybe a little bit more than I did actors and other people, because it felt
For
more
sure.
personable, it felt funnier, and it felt actually like I could relate to this person a little bit more than I can like an actor or somebody else.
Yeah, and each of those moments, whether you have a celebrity or an athlete, change the game of the way that we watch and the way that people make commercials.
Yep.
But even more so, and this is something that I've come to learn, the man who really, really changed the game was actually Michael Jackson himself.
Michael Jackson, yes. Now that is one celebrity in the music industry, I will agree, who changed the absolute game for marketing in general.
Yeah, quite literally.
Absolutely. Michael Jackson not only is one of my favorite music artists, but he's one of my favorite people in general. So
Yes,
rest in
yes.
peace, Michael. You were gone too soon. But Michael Jackson was already a massive celebrity because, I mean, obviously you have the Jackson 5, and then, of course, you have
Yeah.
his solo era. But then he partners with Pepsi again. I know I bring up
Yep.
Pepsi again, but Pepsi was his biggest ally. Michael Jackson marketed for Pepsi for many years, and he really set the stage for celebrity collaborations. Really,
There you go. I love that pun, by the way.
Yes. And so the one cool thing with his version of advertising was when he did these Pepsi commercials. So obviously there's a very infamous story with the Pepsi commercials and stuff that I'm going to get into in a sec. But the cool part was, so Michael Jackson had just done Thriller, the biggest selling album of all time. And then all of a sudden he got put under a contractual obligation by his father to appear with his brothers again as, the Jackson 5. Michael did not like this idea. He really wanted to go solo. So basically, my understanding of what happened was he did this reluctantly, because he felt like, oh, I'm letting my family down. I think his mom even kind of talked to him, was like, maybe you should just do the tour, and then after that, call it quits and then go on your own. And one of the parts that came with that was doing a deal with Pepsi. But Michael was very strict about how he wanted to do it. He said he did not want to appear in the commercial for more than 4 seconds per frame. He's only in it for maybe like a little bit, but it uses the mystery of Michael Jackson, like showing his glove, the iconic, high water pants with the white socks and the shoes, and kind of marketed more his image. And then eventually he would show his face, and then it only show his face for a little bit. And he says also, I will not drink Pepsi on camera. I will not hold a Pepsi, but I'll sing about it.
Yeah. Prior to that, musicians and labels feared that that their image, if anything, would be, made a joke if they did these things, that they would in one way or another sell out. But Michael Jackson, in an unprecedented $5 million partnership with Pepsi, he changed the game because he fused his music with the marketing without, losing any dignity while he was doing so. He adapted his hit song Billie Jean into a stylized music video-esque commercial.
The Pepsi generation. Yeah.
There you go.
I'll
there you
guzzle
go.
Down and taste the thrill of the day and feel the Pepsi way.
You're the Pepsi generation. Guzzle down and taste the thrill of the day and feel the Pepsi way.
Yeah.
No, this massive deal erased the stigma surrounding celebrity endorsements and successfully positioned Pepsi as the youth-centric choice of the generation. The campaign's massive success eventually led to a record-breaking 10 million global follow-up to the Bad Tour, permanently establishing the blueprint for modern multi-million-dollar influencer and brand collaboration. So arguably, without Michael standing up for his rights, we probably wouldn't see the types of commercials we see today.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if Michael Jackson didn't do what he did, like you said, we probably wouldn't see celebrity commercials the way that they are today. Yes, nowadays there are celebrities that will literally be like, I love Pepsi, and then they'll chug a Pepsi or something. Mean Joe Green chugging a Coke, stuff like that.
Yeah,
but Michael Jackson was like, I'm going to let my music sell this product. And
there you go.
It did. And unfortunately, Pepsi would also be one of the darkest periods for Michael Jackson as well.
Yes.
And the reason being is because in the early 80s, he shot 2 very iconic commercials. So the first one was actually shot in like a neighborhood, and this one didn't have any issues, but it also featured a young Alfonso Ribeiro, who would go on to be in the show The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when he was a little kid, was in this commercial with Michael Jackson.
Oh, Carlton?
Yep, Carlton.
How funny.
A young Carlton was in this commercial, and basically what happens in this commercial is like, they're doing the Billie Jean thing, and then he moonwalks and bumps into the king of pop himself.
That's hilarious.
And of course, Michael's brothers were in it too, so they were all doing it. But the second one was where disaster struck. It was shot in the Shrine Auditorium in LA. And basically what ended up happening was probably the most tragic thing in Michael's career. So the commercial was shot and they did 5 takes and it all went well. And basically it's supposed to be a bunch of concert goers drinking Pepsi while watching Michael Jackson. And in it, Michael's supposed to make this big entrance from the top of this staircase while pyrotechnics are going off. The director asked for a 6th take and told Michael, I want to start you up closer to the top of the stairwell. They do it, and Michael's hair caught ablaze when the pyrotechnics went off and a spark landed in his hair.
Oh man.
It is probably one of the most notorious incidents in Michael's life. Um, and really started kind of unfortunately his downfall because this is the era he started taking painkillers because of the pain he was in the for what happened to him. Um and yeah, I mean, despite the fact that this happened, it is still one of the most recognizable celebrity endorsements ever. And that commercial did air, by the way.
Oh
Um,
man. Oh
yeah.
man.
Thankfully, though, that you don't see the part in the commercial where his hair caught fire. But years later,
Thankfully.
after Michael Jackson passed, they did obtain the negatives of that, and those are available all over the web now.
Wow. I mean, they definitely got the right celebrity for it, but they did not plan accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just to transition from the
Yes,
king of pop himself
absolutely.
into, let's say, taking accountability, these companies taking accountability, and I'm sure Pepsi in one way or another took accountability. Do you think that there is a company that missed the mark on their casting? Now, let's be honest. Pepsi casting Michael was not the issue. The
No.
director was absolutely the issue.
Director,
But
absolutely, yeah.
do you think there's a
And the pyrotechnics
company
guy.
and absolutely both of them. I'm surprised. Were they sued?
No. So what happened was they
Mm.
did reach a deal with Michael and they reached a settlement. So instead of that,
Okay.
but Michael did the most classy thing. He donated it to a children's hospital, or not children's hospital. He donated it to the hospital's burn center where he was treated. The
And
whole thing.
that's why we have Michael Jackson still in our hearts to this day because
Mhm.
of the good person that he was.
Absolutely. But anyways, to answer your
Going
question,
Yeah. To go back to my question, which company or brand do you think missed the mark on their casting?
oh, there's a few, and actually, again, Pepsi's going to come back into this conversation again.
Ooh, I want to hear that.
I would say Kendall Jenner for the Pepsi, the protest ad where she's like doing the whole.
I completely forgot about
Yeah,
that.
that
Was an
that was a.
embarrassment.
I'm just gonna say this, and I'm gonna apologize for my French right now. Please excuse my French, but that was a shit show. That was a
Oh,
literal shit
man.
show.
The
Like Kendall Jenner had to
backlash.
do so much damage control after that came out.
Oh man,
That-
the poor thing. Who directed? Who wrote that? Who
I have
got
no idea.
fired? I want to know.
Kendall Jenner.
Oh man,
So-
no. I mean, at the end of the day, she just reads a script. She does what she's told. There's
That's
a
true.
team behind what goes on there.
I have no idea really. I
Oh, man.
don't know much about this commercial. There's not much about it out there, but
Mhm.
yeah, the protest ad was horrible. The
Yeah.
other one I'm going to say, and mostly this person wasn't necessarily bad when they got to their casting, but age is what made it bad. And that is
geez.
O.J. Simpson and Hertz. And I think we all know why.
Oh.
We all know why.
No.
I mean, the man's literally running through an airport and people are screaming at him, "Go, OJ, go!"
Oh.
And then in
man.
19, what was it? 1994 was it? I think. Then next
The
thing-
trials.
well, not the trials. I'm talking about the Bronco chase. Like when he was in the Bronco,
Oh.
people were screaming that at him as the Bronco drove by them.
Gosh, I did not know that, but that. Oh man. Oh,
So
man.
and here's the thing: O.J. Simpson was not necessarily miscast because I mean he had the charisma, he had the game, but it's just that with time going on and with it aging, it doesn't age well. And then I think there's even one where he's like, "I'm O.J. Simpson with Hertz and this and this and this. You better make sure I'm not coming around your house late at night." And I'm like, "Oh,
Oh yeah, let's. Yep. Okay. Oh man. Oh
So,
man.
I'm not saying necessarily they missed the mark, but time made it worse and made
Yep.
it look like the mark was missed.
And timing is everything. Timing is everything. Now, the one that I'm going to talk about,
Yes,
I
please.
actually recently found out about because for some reason I didn't see this when it aired in 2012. But it's the infamous Ashton Kutcher Pop Chips commercial. And for those of you who are not
Oh.
familiar, and I say that
Oh.
this missed the mark in casting. And to go back
Yes.
to the Kendall Jenner thing, I'm going to
Yes, yes.
empathize with her because again, she did not direct it, she did not write it,
Fair.
she didn't, But this commercial, I'm almost 80 to 100% positive that Ashton Kutcher wrote, directed, and starred in this commercial. So
Really? He
full
wrote?
blame goes on him then.
Okay.
And what happened is basically they're selling this chip brand by doing a mock dating interview.
I remember
And
this.
each of the interviewees is Ashton Kutcher in a different costume.
Yes.
Now, what got him under fire was his interpretation, or in my opinion, his bold interpretation of an Indian man named Raj.
I remember,
And,
yeah.
you know, he put on brown face and he was just scrutinized the second it was released by, rightfully so too, rightfully so. And, you know, he just did not, he and the company completely missed the mark when it came to selling that product. You could find it today on YouTube and you would still be confused that it's a chip commercial.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? So they completely missed the mark, not only when it came to representing the brand, but also blatant racism on national TV. That's insane to me.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm going to say this too. It's like, you know, obviously there's no excuse for doing something like that, brown face, blackface, any of it. But, you know, this was worse, I feel like, because this wasn't even funny. You know,
It wasn't even funny.
it was kind of crazy. I mean, even Tropic Thunder, when Robert Downey Jr. did it, at least that was funny. At least that had some characteristic to it. But this was just it just didn't hit the mark. It felt offensive. It felt horrible, and moreover, you don't know what you're supposed to be being sold.
That's the thing. It just felt completely out of place. It didn't really do anything for the masses, and it also didn't really do anything for Kutcher either. And I feel like there's a lot of, you know, public perception and damage control that had to be done afterwards, because I mean, he was
100%.
already dating somebody who was underage at the time.
That's
He was,
right. I
his
forgot about
girlfriend
that.
was killed at his house or something like that, you know, like years before that. So he was already, you know, he was already not necessarily everyone's favorite celebrity, just given
That's
his
right.
history.
That's right.
And then you add this on top of it and know that he was,
That kind
for
of
the
killed
most
his
part, in full. Yeah.
That pretty much killed his
seriously.
career too, because you don't see
Oh,
Ashton
man.
Kutcher much anymore.
Not really anymore. I don't really see him that often, but I mean, I'm sure that's for other reasons as well. But man, did Pop Chips really mess up? Absolutely, 100%.
Yes, 100%. I think that was just, you know, that was just horrible. That was just
Oh,
not
man.
good. It was bad.
Yeah.
So absolutely, you know, and you know, it's interesting to see, you know, we talk about celebrities, you know, so many people like Leonardo DiCaprio, Tobey Maguire, Brad Pitt, Keanu Reeves, all started their careers doing commercials.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of our favorite A-list celebrities right now started off as either kids or teenagers or young adults in commercials from like the 90s and 80s.
Exactly. And it's surprising to see. And it's surprising to see how many infamous directors too got their start directing commercials before they started getting moved on to making blockbuster films, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, just to go back to celebrities themselves, I mean, we talked about this in our console episode a couple of episodes ago, where Jack Black literally made his start at the age of 13 for a 1982 Atari commercial for the
Right.
game Pitfall. And like
Exactly.
and he's what, in his 60s, 50s, 60s right now? That's
Yep.
insane.
And of course, Tobey Maguire gets memed for the infamous "Why don't you just put some broccoli in there?" commercial. So
What is that film?
I don't remember what that was for. It's a massive meme
That's
everywhere that has a young
hilarious.
Tobey Maguire saying that. I think it was like
That's
sometime in the
hilarious.
90s when that happened, because you had to
Oh,
figure when
man.
Tobey Maguire started doing Spider-Man, he was only in like his 20s. So
No, yeah, for sure, for sure. For those of you who are fans of The Office, Steve Carell actually made his debut in a 1989 Brown's Chicken commercial.
oh snap! I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was shot 16 years before The Office was even filmed. And
That-
in the commercial, he's just
That's
talking about
crazy.
how Brown's Chicken is made from like natural lard or something like that. You know, they're like, oh, we fry our chicken in natural oil or something
That's
like that. And it's
crazy.
just so funny. It's so funny.
That's wild. That's absolutely wild.
Oh man.
So yeah, so to move away from celebrity collaborations, I think it's time for our favorite part of every episode. Do you? Yeah, you're already doing the drum roll. Okay, so here we go. In one, and a two, and a 1, 2, 3, 4. Fun facts and trivia. Ow!
Ow! What a difference.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. So we're gonna go ahead and move into some fun facts and trivia. So I've got fun five facts. Wow, wow. Okay, I have five fun facts. Yeah, I do have fun facts. So
There you go.
yeah, there we go. Absolutely. So we'll go ahead and kick it off with this one here that I have. So the first fun fact I have is actually about one of Wendy's most iconic ads. In 1984, 81-year-old Clara Peller became an overnight sensation with her booming voice in the Wendy's Fluffy Bun commercial, also known as Where's the Beef? However, the catchphrase wasn't originally written that way. The director actually wanted her to say, Where is all the beef? Peller suffered from emphysema and didn't have the lung capacity to be able to get the full line out clearly, so she shortened it to the punchy, aggressive grunt we all know today. It worked beautifully, boosting Wendy's sales by 31% that year.
And do you mind sharing with us what that iconic phrase is, my friend?
Where's the beef?
That's fantastic.
And you're talking to somebody too who is an absolute fan of Wendy's. Actually, funny enough, I haven't had Wendy's in forever, which is funny.
Man.
I feel like, and I'm a fan of Wendy's, but man, Wendy's they're pricey. That's the thing with Wendy's. But,
I like their chili and their soft serve cones.
Really, I like their spicy sandwich.
Okay.
That's my favorite thing to get at Wendy's. But anyways, to stop talking about food before I throw a massive tantrum. Number two, why? This comes back to the iconic Apple commercial we were talking about earlier. But number two, widely considered the greatest Super Bowl commercial of all time, Ridley Scott's dystopian masterpiece introducing Macintosh Computer was absolutely loathed by Apple's board of directors. Can you believe that? That's wild. They found it too abstract and risky and ordered their advertising agency to sell back the expensive airtime. The agency secretly delayed selling the slots, leaving Apple with no choice but to run it at least once. The ad was a massive gamble that paid off, completely changing how companies approach Super Bowl advertising forever.
Oh, risk taking. Oh man. Oh, risk taking for the win is what I'm trying to say. Oh man.
And I mean, that was who Ridley Scott was and is as a filmmaker as well. I mean, the biggest.
That is true.
He may be one of the biggest risk takers with movies with both Alien and Blade Runner.
No, 100%. 100%.
Yep, absolutely. Number three, first debuting in 1970, the classic animated commercial featuring Mr. Owl and a little boy asking, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie center of a Tootsie Pop? That's one of the most iconic lines, but basically, that commercial holds the title for the longest running television commercial in U.S. history. Tootsie Roll Industries have kept it on the air for decades with only minor restorations. I actually just saw that commercial just 3 days ago. Yeah, I'm not even joking.
Man.
3 days ago.
Oh, man. Yep. I remember waking up at like 10 p.m. because I took a nap at 7 p.m. and that commercial would be on, or I'd be in the middle of my favorite show and that commercial would pop on. And guess what would stick in my brain? A Tootsie Pop. Oh, man.
Tootsie Pops were my thing too when I was a kid.
They're awesome. They're delicious.
You know what was funny though? For years, I never got to the Tootsie center of a Tootsie Pop, and I didn't realize you were supposed to. I just wanted the lollipop, so I would just lick the lollipop, and sometimes I just toss it afterwards.
Oh man, that's criminal in my book, because usually after about 50 licks, I would just take a bite of that and get the crunch or the chocolatey center in the middle. It was delicious.
Yep. And exactly. And then after years later, though, I never finish a Tootsie Pop until I get to that Tootsie Center. So
yeah, there you go. There you go.
Especially because now I'm a huge fan of Tootsie Rolls. Unfortunately, they have caused many cavities, though, in my life.
Many a cavity. Yeah, I get that. Many a sugar rush as well.
Absolutely. And following in suit of that last one, the next one also talks about Tootsie Pop, because speaking of Tootsie Pop, while the narrator famously concludes the world may never know the true number of licks, several universities have actually put this to the test. Purdue University developed a literal licking machine modeled after a human tongue and found it took an average of 365 licks to reach the center. Human testers at the university were a bit more eager and averaged 253.
No, that's fair. I mean, everyone produces saliva differently, so who's to say someone actually doesn't actually hold the record for 100 licks? Who knows?
Or you can be just like Mr. Al and then just
Just take
bite,
one bite.
just take one bite of the whole thing, you know? And then number 5, in 1993, Michael Bay would enter the world of directing when he made a commercial for the Got Milk campaign in which a young man fascinated with the iconic Aaron Burr versus Alexander Hamilton duel gets a call from a game show about who shot Alexander Hamilton. Though a poorly timed peanut butter sandwich made his answer unclear, and having no milk to wash it down, runs out of time. The ad made Got Milk and Michael Bay incredibly noticeable and started a whole new campaign on having milk.
Got milk. Wow, I didn't realize that the director of Transformers, the producer of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from the 2000s, made Got Milk. That is insane.
Yeah, well, he didn't really make it, but he made the most probably
Well,
one of
he
the
made the
most
most iconic. Yeah, there you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
and Got Milk commercials were some of the most iconic things. There's another one where there's like a guy, he's like this big jerk, he's demanding everything. He supposedly gets hit by a car and basically dies, and he thinks he makes it to heaven, only to have a whole stash of cookies but no milk, and he goes, "Wait, where am I?" And then the logo for Got Milk comes up in flames.
Okay, that probably I'm gonna have to rewatch that because that actually might be my in my top 5 favorite.
It's a
commercials of all time.
fantastic,
That's
yeah,
brilliant. That's
absolutely.
brilliant.
So yeah, so anyhow, my friend, take it away.
Alrighty. So for my first fun fact, a 1990 soda commercial was considered too effective. The British Tango Orange Man commercial showed an orange character slapping people after they drank the soda. Kids started copying it at school, and so often that the kids started copying it at school so often that the ad had to be changed. How
Where-
influential does a commercial have to be that you have children in school slapping each other? Oh man.
You see, this is why you got to be careful how you market to kids, because
There
kids
you
are
go.
so impressionable. They will do some of the crazy things in commercials.
Mm-hmm,
I remember. So coming back real quick to Ken Griffey Jr.'s commercial, to make a long story short, there's a part at the end of the commercial where when Ken Griffey offers his soda to Sammy Sosa, Sosa reaches his hand out and then he hits his hand down, kind of like saying, "Get out of here." And I did that to somebody and I got in a lot of trouble.
Look at you being influenced by the media. We can't help it. We're human.
I did 100%, so yeah.
That's funny. All right. So for my second, "Where's the Beef" campaign affected real politics. The phrase from Wendy's commercials became so iconic in the 1980s that politicians started using it during debates to attack opponents for lacking substance. Where's the beef, man? Where's the beef?
Stop talking about Wendy's. I'm already hungry. So
All right.
I'm
I'm
playing.
Let's just transition over. Let's just.
No, I'm
transition
playing.
over. No,
That's
I'm getting
actually
hungry too.
okay. That's actually, but to in all seriousness, that is really cool though. I did not know about the "Where's the Beef" commercial. So that's really
That's
cool.
funny.
I learned something.
Number 3, some countries ban children's toy commercials during certain hours. By the 1990s, critics argued toy ads manipulated kids too effectively. Countries like Sweden
Damn.
restricted or banned TV advertising aimed directly at young children. So I'm
That's
wondering,
wild.
had the Orange Man aired in Sweden, it probably would have, if anything, gotten taken off the air. That's wild.
That's crazy. Not only would that gotten taken off the air, but can you imagine the amount of influence
Oh yeah.
that would have on so many people?
Oh man, that's
a little too
funny.
scary.
A little too scary, exactly. And number 4, cigarette commercials used to dominate television
Oh, yeah.
until 1971, and this is just proof that adults can easily be swayed just as easily as children.
Mhm.
Until 1971, brands like Marlboro and Winston regularly aired glamorous TV ads featuring cowboys, athletes, and celebrities. The U.S. government eventually banned cigarette commercials from television because of growing health concerns.
Yeah, I remember, I've gone back and saw iconic celebrities like John Wayne advertising
Mhm.
cigarettes, doctors,
Mhm.
and then you have people like John Wayne. "I smoke Camels. Camels are probably the most smooth cigarette." Fast forward maybe like a decade later, he's doing commercials for the American Cancer Society.
Yeah, no, it's It's crazy the way that brands and companies use art, celebrities, and credibility to manipulate us as the
Sadly.
consumer. But at the end of the day, everything is up to our own discretion. That's why, parents, you gotta be careful what your kids watch because they might be like me or John, heavily influenced by certain messages.
And now it's Zyn commercials because
Yeah.
yeah, and now I've seen those plenty of times on YouTube. I'm sure many of y'all have seen it, but
Oh
now
man.
thankfully they do at least have the disclaimer saying, "Warning: this product contains nicotine, which is an addictive substance."
Oh man. But we'll see where that gets us 10 years from now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And lastly, talk about leaving a lasting impression on the American society. In the 1960s and 1970s, ads for products like Right Guard, a deodorant brand, accidentally convinced many Americans, millions of Americans, that they constantly smelled bad, even when they didn't. Marketing experts later called it one of advertising's most successful fear-based campaigns. Guys, we're being gaslit by these companies. They're telling us one thing when in reality it's another thing. You guys don't stink.
Well, I mean, unless you have a lot of padding like myself, then sometimes you do have to double up on the deodorant just a little bit. But at the same time, I get what you're saying. I mean, like I don't
No,
think
no, no,
it's
yeah.
definitely not as bad as
No, yeah.
as they make it sound. But
No, trust me, I have to put 2 layers of 2 different types. I need to do aerosol and I need to do the stick. But the average American does not stink.
right. Yes, exactly. Maybe we're just the exceptions. I don't know.
There you go. There you go. But that actually concludes my fun facts, and I'm just going to go over and scoot it over to the trivia section. Are you ready, my friend?
Absolutely. Yes, I'm ready. Let's
Now, I
go.
want to disclose this by saying that I only have 2 questions, and if anything, they're bonus questions because I'm sure you know the answer to both of these. But let me get started, okay? Now, the hardest question of all. Number 1, which beer brand created the famous "What's up" commercials around 2000?
That sounds like Budweiser.
Ding, 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 ding. That's 1 point to you. Oh, man. And then as also made more famously through the Scary Movies. What's
Oh
up?
yeah. Was
And then my final question, again, another huge brain teaser. Which candy bars commercial in the 1990s featured the slogan, "You're not you when you're hungry"?
Oh, that's a good one.
Here, have a blank. You're not you when you're hungry.
Sounds like was it Hershey? No, not Hershey's. Snickers.
Yes, ding, ding, ding. For a second, I felt bad for calling it easy, but no, you got it, my friend. You got it. That's 2 for 2 right there.
I don't know how Hershey's came out of my mouth. Hershey's was never that creative.
That's funny. That's funny. But yes, you got 2 for 2 on that one.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, I probably could use a Snickers right now, but unfortunately, I don't have Snickers. So not that I'm angry, but not
That's fair. That's fair.
absolutely okay. Well, since you have your or your trivia out of the way, I'm gonna see if I can tease you. So now I got 5, so I'm gonna try and get through these as quickly but efficiently as I can. So here's the first one. What secret ingredient did commercial directors commonly use instead of real milk in vintage cereal commercials to prevent the flakes from getting soggy and sinking?
Well, I know there are many food stylists right now that use glue. I don't know if that was common practice back then, but I'm just going to say glue. Elmer's glue.
Yes, ding, ding,
Really?
ding. That is
Okay,
correct.
wow.
And it's because of hot studio lights, quickly turned real milk and warm and made the cereal soggy within minutes. Food stylists had to get creative. They found that white school glue was thick enough to keep individual flakes floating perfectly on top for hours without sinking and gave the milk a perfectly opaque, pristine white look that popped beautifully on old television screens.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's too awesome. It's the magic of movie making, but also, commercial making.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And then number 2, which major fast food chain ran a massive promotional campaign tied to the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics that backfired spectacularly, costing them millions of dollars when the Soviet Union boycotted the games?
Fast food chain?
Hmm?
Oh man, I don't know this. I'm just going to say Arby's.
Really? You're going to say Arby's?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Did Arby's even exist in the 80s?
I don't eat Arby's, therefore I don't know anything about Arby's, but that just sounds like something Arby's would
I
do.
know there's going to be people who are going to get mad at me with whatever this is if I'm wrong on that, so I apologize, but no, the answer is not Arby's.
Really? Okay.
The answer is McDonald's.
What you would think they have you would think that they're in every way ready in any PR stunt. You would think. Oh,
You would think. So the story goes is that McDonald's launched a campaign called US Wins, You Win. Every time a customer brought something, they got a scratch-off card with an Olympic event. If the US won gold, silver, or bronze in that event, the customer won free food. A Big Mac, like a Big Mac for gold, basically. The promotion was planned using the event. The promotion was planned using data from the 1976 Olympics, where the U.S. won a modest 34 gold medals. However, because the Soviet Union and 13 Soviet bloc countries boycotted the 1984 LA Games because the Cold War was still happening at this time, the U.S. absolutely dominated the competition, sweeping events that they normally lost, racking up a staggering 83 gold medals. McDonald's outlets ran out of food entirely, and the company took an estimated $2 million hit in unplanned free inventory.
So it's not that it didn't work, it's that it worked
It
too
worked
well.
too well. Well, let's be real. They probably didn't realize that the Soviet Union was going to boycott at the time when they conceived it. But then when they got closer, then when the Soviet Union boycotts, now it's like, oh crap, they don't have a lot of competition because that was the big push.
Oh man, that was a great question. Oh man, the more you know.
Absolutely. And then number 3, what iconic Hollywood director famously directed a series of highly cinematic, big budget Pepsi commercials in the late 80s featuring an epic alien landscape only to have the network demand major edits? Now, I will give you a hint on this. It is one of the big directors of New Hollywood.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm going to use a few buzzwords to help me so that I can make an educated guess.
Yep.
You said cinematic.
Correct.
You said alien.
Yes.
And I'm thinking Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott. Interesting, but not correct.
Interesting. Okay.
The answer is Mr. Lucas of Star Wars.
George Lucas.
It's George
Really?
Lucas. Yes. In 1980.
Wow.
Yep. In 1987, hot off the success of the original Star Wars trilogy, George Lucas was hired by Pepsi to direct an incredibly ambitious multi-part commercial campaign called The Choice of a New Generation, something Michael Jackson was also tied to. But Lucas treated the commercial like a feature film, utilizing his visual effects company, Industrial Light and Magic, ILM, to build intricate alien cantinas, spaceships, and futuristic desolate landscapes. The production was so massive that network censors initially worried when it looked too much like a trailer for an unreleased movie, forcing Lucas and the agency to heavily alter the pacing and prominent branding to ensure viewers that they were watching a soda commercial.
Oh man, that hats off to George Lucas. That's amazing.
And
That's truly amazing.
And knowing George Lucas, he never makes anything short. He goes big every time.
Nope. Even his student films were above and beyond.
I mean, THX 1138,
That's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yep, exactly. And then number 4, what essential piece of modern smartphone tech was featured for the very first time in a 1993 AT&T You Will commercial campaign, predicting it a decade before it became a commercial reality?
Texting?
Nope. I'm sorry. I'll give you one more guess. Think just a little bit beyond that. Just a little bit.
Bluetooth?
No, unfortunately not. It
All right,
was
just give it
video calling and or FaceTime.
FaceTime in 1993?
Oh yeah.
What? Oh man. Okay.
AT&T ran a legendary forward-thinking campaign ad directed by Mr. David Fincher, which that's incredible.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of these crazy people popping up in here. It was called You Will, which asked viewers if they had ever done things like pay a toll without slowing down or buy a concert ticket from an ATM. The voiceover was provided by Tom Selznick. confidently promised you will. One of the most sci-fi moments in the ad showed a mother checking in on her sleeping baby via a flat portable screen while video chatting with her husband from a beach. While the tech didn't actually exist in the consumer market at the time, AT&T's futuristic concepts perfectly laid the blueprint for modern smartphones and tablets.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. And I think the equivalent is like someone from the 1960s or 70s watching 2001: A Space Odyssey and
Right.
seeing everything come into fruition in 2026. That's amazing. Oh, that's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Now, this last one, I really hope you get the answer on because
I'm
this is one of the
probably
most
not.
iconic.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Long before he became a household name and an Academy Award winner, which legendary actor got one of his biggest breaks by voicing the sleek booming narration for the retro Sega Genesis commercials in the early 90s?
Yeah, there's no way I could get this because I never played a Sega Genesis.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Do you want to take a guess? It is let's just say think of the word narration.
Morgan Freeman?
Yes, ding ding ding.
What?
Morgan Freeman. During the fierce 1990s console war between Nintendo and Sega, Sega wanted an aggressive, authoritarian, and mature voice to help position the Sega Genesis as the cool, edgy alternative to the family-friendly Super Nintendo. They hired Morgan Freeman, whose distinct, resonant baritone had not become yet the iconic voice of God archetype it is today. To deliver the aggressive, punchy lines for the early 16-bit marketing push, his powerful narration helped cement the campaign's intense, fast-paced attitude, laying the groundwork for the famous Sega scream that defined the generation of gaming.
That's freaking awesome. What the heck? That's freaking awesome.
Can you imagine?
When I think of Morgan Freeman in like a commercial, I think of him in the Polaroid commercial from the 70s.
Right.
I didn't know he did other commercials as well. This is amazing. And then for Sega, that's awesome.
Can you imagine too, like you get it? Sega, a new generation of gaming. All at your front door. I can't
Hey,
do Morgan,
that's a pretty good attempt.
I can't
though.
do Morgan Freeman that well,
That's
but
a
that's
pretty good attempt.
But yeah, so but that's my fun facts and trivia. That's our fun facts and trivia, guys.
Well, that was great. I'm 0 for 5, but that's a-okay. We're still trucking.
No,
guys.
you got a couple. You got the last one. I mean, I know I gave you a hint, but I still count that.
Yeah. All right. Brownie points good in my book then.
Yep, absolutely. So, man, the thing is that we've been talking a lot about all these popular commercials, celebrity endorsements, Super Bowl commercials, but we also love the old retro commercials, and some of these, yes, aired decades before we were even thought of.
Yeah.
But let alone born. But the thing is that coming back and finding some of these old commercials, whether it's through our parents, whether it's through just scrolling on the internet looking for something nostalgic, or the commercials being popular, like the Tootsie Pop commercial or the Discount Tire commercial or stuff like that. Sometimes we're just thrown down a rabbit hole and we go down and start looking at all these old commercials.
Oh yeah, and I mean the commercials from the 60s to even the early 2000s, they sort of act as accidental time capsules. They offer a comforting aesthetic. These older commercials. Are there any that stand out most to you from the past?
Oh my gosh. There's a lot, but I'm going to try and say it. The one thing with old commercials is I got to be honest, there's not really just one that stands out because I feel like old commercials, they weren't just trying to make money. Yes, that was the goal. Don't get me wrong. It's always been the goal.
Yeah.
But the creative, memorable, and fun jingles, the nostalgic elements, commercials, they were fun and they actually made it feel like I have this product and you need it. And this is why. Instead of just saying, you need this product, go buy this thing now,
Yeah.
So
yeah. Here's your favorite celebrity to tell you that.
Here's your favorite celebrity to tell you that. They actually felt like actually inviting. I would say probably any 80s or 90s commercial. 80s commercials and 90s commercials were some of the most iconic pieces. And the thing is, they were inviting. They didn't feel like they were talking down to you or they were trying to do something crazy. It was kind of like, it's kind of like, look at this world. And this world is amazing. And it's a world you probably have or are familiar with, but it can be even better with this product. Yeah. Instead of just saying, I have a new product and you need it. And yeah, they did say that, but at the same time, it didn't feel as like, like, hi, I'm so and so, and I drink this product. It gives me energy all day, kind of thing, and
Yeah.
when I didn't just feel like, I'm so and so, and I drink 5 hour energy. 5 hour energy keeps me going through the whole day. Take it now, be like me. It wasn't just like that. It was like
Yeah.
it actually felt inviting. So I can't really think of just one commercial
That's
off the top
fair.
of my head. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, also back in the day, the intention too was to also be as creative as possible. Is to be as creative as possible. You see a lot of, say, new mascots coming out as well, and in that also the pacing of said commercial every decade changes. I mean, I have my shirt on right now, the Noid, and that I think is either Domino's or Pizza
yeah.
Hut's, mascot at the time. And then you have people like the Geico Gecko and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And these companies at the time were creating and establishing themselves as companies and brands by using techniques such as art, such as animation and stuff like that. And now what you're seeing, which is also valid because, times change,
Mhm.
people are using, say, people with clout.
Yeah.
I show speed is selling me, a chocolate bar, and Mr. Beast is selling me another chocolate bar, and
Right.
someone else is selling me another
Logan
chocolate.
Paul is selling Prime,
Prime, exactly, and the market sort of opened up for freelance influencers like that. Whereas back in the day, the aesthetic felt cinematic. I mean, the pacing was slower, and some of my favorite commercials of all time happened, like you were saying, in the 80s, 90s, and even early 2000s. I
Yep.
mean, some of the most notable jingles happened at that time too. I mean, think of the snack that smiles back, Goldfish,
Oh yeah.
or Where a Kid Could Be a Kid, freaking Chuck E. Cheese,
Yep.
or
Exactly.
Pepto Bismol's nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Diarrhea.
There you go. Or like the Six Flags jingles. Dun, 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 dun,
Yep.
dun, dun,
Dun,
dun,
dun,
dun.
dun, 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 dun,
Or
dun, dun. Come to
berries
Six
and
Flags.
cream, berries and cream.
Yep.
I'm a little lad who likes berries and cream. You don't
Mhm.
see it that often now because you can just put a face, put a brand, and then sell it. But back in the day, it felt like, and I'm saying like prior to the 2010s, like you were saying earlier in the episode, prior to the 2010s, it felt very formulaic in the way that was inspired once in the 80s and 90s. It felt like it was one streamlined decade of commercials. And then after that, that's when you saw the change with social media. But how memorable are those things? And discussing the role of mascots, do you have any favorite mascots from like brands or companies that you remember watching growing up?
Oh my gosh. Obviously there's, Jeffrey the giraffe from
Oh, Toys R Us.
Toys R Us.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, what was I gonna also say? The other one that I'm thinking of as well is the Aflac duck. That's the one I'm also thinking
Aflac.
of. Aflac. Ronald McDonald. I'm not
Oh
gonna
yeah.
lie. Okay, when I was a kid, y'all gonna start laughing. I hated Ronald McDonald.
He scared the crap out of me.
He didn't scare me. I just hated him.
Oh, he scared the living daylights out of me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Ronald McDonald. I mean, yeah, I'm sure he scared millions of kids, but I just hated Ronald McDonald. I couldn't take him seriously. I just hated him. I don't know what it was. It just I had this unbridled like vengeance against Ronald McDonald for some reason, or vendetta, I guess. I don't know
And
what
then
it was.
you have Wendy's in the back saying, "Where's the beef?" between
Yeah.
you and Ronald McDonald.
Either that or I had the Burger King telling me, because when I was a kid, I actually liked Burger King more than I liked McDonald's.
Oh, I still love Burger King way more than McDonald's.
And the sad thing is I go to a Burger King and like almost nobody's there and I'm like, can I have a Whopper?
They're like, "A customer? Customer! Hey, everyone! Code 42! Customer!"
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, I still prefer Burger King to McDonald's. Of course, my favorite's probably Chick-fil-A, but
No, yeah, for sure. But even
but,
then, Chick-fil-A has a very iconic mascot being the cow. Eat
Yep.
more chicken.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then of course, the Charmin Bears.
The Charmin. Oh my
The-
gosh, yes, I completely forgot about them.
Especially my favorite was the old ones where they go cha cha cha, Charmin.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, and then they rub the toilet paper on their butts.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're American, but how funny is it to try to describe that to somebody who is not familiar with the Charmin brand or these commercials? Oh yeah, three bears are using toilet paper and they're singing and they're cuddling and they have a house. Like that's so random.
Yeah. Exactly. So, oh, that's hilarious. Absolutely. So, real quick, aside from commercials, another thing that was really popular too were also infomercials, if you
Oh yeah.
remember. So, they each had a different style, and I can only say I didn't see many infomercials when I was a kid. I don't know. How about you?
Oh yeah, I watch them all the time.
Really? So, like,
I'm
you
Billy
watch paid
Mays.
you just watch paid programming blocks then?
Well, I had cable TV, so it
Okay,
just came in. It came into the mix.
gotcha.
So
Oh, Billy
there were,
Mays. Yep.
yeah, Billy Mays. Then you had things like the Sham Wow, and then you had
Oh, the shit. Wow.
infomercials selling like feminine products for your hair
Yes.
that like make you pop up, and then you have like cakes and all of these random things. And what was always so funny about infomercials is how stupid it made the average person uh, uh, um, be perceived. Like, are you having trouble holding your popcorn? Are you a complete dummy?
Yeah.
Try the hands-free popcorn bowl, and
Yeah.
then you just like enter your hand into the bowl or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Are you tired of spilling food on your
As seen on
blanket?
TV.
As seen on TV, yeah. Are you tired of dropping all your soda and popcorn on your blanket? Well, get the sham or get the what is it called, uh the Snuggie. Get the
The
Snuggie.
Snuggie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Get
there
the
was this
Snuggie.
one, I remember it was in the 80s. It was for a phone holder because, people, it's like, are you tired of holding your phone, this and this?
Yeah, the
Did you see
headset.
that? Yeah.
Yes, I've seen that. That's
I crack up
hilarious.
laughing every time looking at that because I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's so ridiculous, but also low key so cool.
It's so funny. For those of you who are not familiar with the commercial that we're talking about, I think it's just a headset with a microphone that connects to your home phone. So the phone that stays at home. It's not a cell phone or
A
anything.
landline.
That way that you could, your landline. That's how did the word escape me? But yes, it connects directly to your landline. That way you can walk away from your telephone. And for women, it showed in the infomercial, if you got to cook go cook and be on the phone, you know what I mean?
Well, it was the 80s, so
I think it was after the 80s because I remember seeing
really.
it on TV.
So
Yeah, I
maybe it was the
remember seeing it.
90s?
Could have been the 90s. I think it was the 90s. Um,
Gotcha.
but man, how funny is that? And then now we have our cell phones, now we have Bluetooth, now we have, like you were saying, video calling, all of that.
And infomercials for me were interesting because I never really watched a whole lot of them. I liked the ones for like Time Life when they would do theirs for like collections. Like if they released like a
Oh yeah.
collection of 60s music. I remember Flower
Oh
Power
yeah.
was a huge one. That's actually, and we leave it on because we get to listen to music, with
No,
it
for
and
sure.
stuff like that. And I remember the person who was advertising it was Peter Fonda, the
Mm,
actor from
yes.
one of our favorite movies of all time, Easy Rider. So,
Exactly.
and of course, Peter Fonda was a big part of the counterculture movement. I mean, Easy
Yeah.
Rider was huge in that. So, of course,
Yeah.
it only makes sense that he advertised that. But okay, I got a funny story about an infomercial. So one time I got up in the middle of the night. I would think I was like about 5 or 6 years old. And when you're young, I think I got up. I think I either went to get some water, I had to go to the bathroom. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, what if I got to turn the TV on and watch some TV by myself just for a few minutes? I'm going to try and be as quiet as I can. Me not thinking, obviously that it was turned off. So my parents left it
And that
on.
the volume was set at a certain point before it was
Yes,
turned off.
yes. Okay. So I do not know how I never got caught for this. And my parents are going to be hearing this probably for the first time. So mom and dad, I'm sorry. I had no control over this. For real. So we left it on our local news station because my parents like to watch the news in the morning. But between the hours of midnight and about 5 o'clock in the morning, they would air paid per view showing. So a lot of infomercials, and it wasn't just those regular infomercials that had all that other stuff. They were the infomercials that were like, that went on for like 30 minutes to an hour.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the paid programming at night, and I turned the TV on, and it's an ad for Girls Gone Wild.
I've seen that before. I've literally done almost the exact same thing. I was going through the gosh dang DirecTV log that my parents had, and this was before they did parental controls. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Girls Gone Wild!" Choo,
Yeah,
choo,
and that's
choo, choo,
exactly
choo,
what
choo.
it did. And the part that it came on was, it was like, see these college girls showing everything in this. I'm like, oh, and when I was a kid, I was like, I'm thinking, oh, this is wrong. So I quickly turned the TV off and I went back to bed. Nobody got up or checked or anything, and I never spoke of the
Oh
incident. This is
man,
the
that's
first time.
hilarious.
It was so
That's
funny.
hilarious.
I just remember seeing like a bunch of girls like doing this, and then there was one, obviously because it's on TV, they got to censor it. I think a
Yeah.
girl like lifting her shirt, and I just quickly am like, oh, you know,
That's hilarious. Well, you had better judgment than me because I definitely watched a couple more commercials like that afterwards.
I mean, hey, I'm not gonna fault you for it. I'm definitely
Oh
not
man.
gonna.
Well, when you're a kid, you're curious, and then in the advent of cable, you had access to almost everything.
You
Right next to
did.
the Nickelodeon channel, you go down twice, it's Girls Gone Wild. You know what I mean?
And you know what's crazy? They did advertise stuff like banned from television on paid programming. I'm not even joking.
What over here advertising Mondo movies and no, what
Well,
the
here's
heck?
the thing. Banned from television is not really
Oh, it's
much of a
mixtapes.
Mondo
Yeah,
film. To me, banned from television more is Cops times 10, basically, is really.
Cops times. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Because Banned from Television didn't follow in the same format, and Banned from Television was more focused on showing the more shocking moments from everyday television rather than going and finding more mysterious stuff,
Underground.
more
Yeah, yeah.
underground stuff. So, like, obviously, like, that was the whole thing, but I didn't even know that was a thing until just, like, maybe a few days ago, and I found one, and it's like, banned from television. Anything that you can't see on television, we're gonna show you. And funny enough, Joe Francis, who made Girls Gone Wild, also made Banned from Television.
Oh wow, that's hilarious. That's
It is.
hilarious. Well, it's
Absolutely.
safe to say that that Girls Gone Wild commercial is probably one of those memorable things that you've probably seen on TV.
Yep. Sorry
But
about
as
that,
a
folks.
child, what was the most memorable commercial that you remember watching, whether it was after school or on the weekends?
I think the most memorable one for me was okay. Um, I watched, like I said, a lot of baseball, and baseball had probably the most iconic commercials. Probably one of the more memorable ones I can think of was there was a company here. They're the electric company for Arizona. They're called APS, the Arizona Public Service.
Hmm.
And they would air commercials basically saying, at APS, we're all about saving you money. You can power your blender. You can power your fan. You can power your light for only pennies on the dollar. And then they would end every commercial by saying APS, the power to make it happen. And the reason I like these commercials is because they used songs and helped formulate, excuse me, my love of, excuse me, classic rock and just 60s, 70s, and 80s music because they would use songs like that. They used Devo's Whip It. They used Love and Spoonful's Summer in the City. They used Debbie Boone's hit You Light Up My Life. And they also used Tommy Roe's Dizzy. Dizzy, I'm so dizzy. So they used that and they would add something like for Devo's Whip It, it was a blender. For You Light Up My Life, it was a little nightlight that looked like a duck, basically.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think Summer in the City was a fan, and I think for Dizzy it was a dryer or
Oh,
washing
okay.
machine. So I have to say pretty creative stuff.
For sure. For
Especially for
sure.
a local company, I would say. So
Yeah.
those are some of the most memorable. And when I would watch baseball, I'd always look out for those commercials specifically because I liked the
Mm.
music, the aesthetics were cool. They were, and the worst part that's so sad is half of my VHS collection, which I recorded baseball game after baseball game, is either damaged because I rewound the tapes too many times or
Oh.
they got damaged when they were dropped from one of my shelves and two tapes which had some of my favorite moments busted completely.
Oh man, that's
And
awful.
they're unplayable now, so I'm hoping maybe a couple of tapes if I look really hard maybe I can salvage, and maybe if we do a stream sometime I'd love to put them up so you guys could see what we saw as a kid, but I don't, unfortunately I lost a lot of them. But other than that, those are the real memorable ones I remember. What about you?
For sure, for sure. Funny enough, two of my most memorable commercials are actually also infomercials as well.
That's funny.
Um, and these are from childhood
Okay.
specifically. I loved seeing the Zoo Book commercials and the Digidraw commercials because I was heavily influenced
Digidraw,
by.
yes.
Yeah, I was heavily influenced by those call now for 1995 deal,
Yep.
a $50 value thing. But those are the most memorable to me because those are the ones that were just on repeat after school.
100%. I think those are some of the most iconic, especially, um, you come home after school and you see stuff like this, and it's just amazing.
Absolutely. And then you'd have the Scholastic Book Fair and you'd see something similar to that or whatever.
Absolutely, absolutely. And commercials from the past were just some of the most memorable things. I remember, of
Hmm.
course there's some iconic ones. There's like Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer probably has one of the most iconic marketing brands of all time. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a
Hmm.
relief it is. Of course, you can take that in more than one way if you want. Um, and McDonald's Big Mac. There's so many different commercials, from the past years that, are just so iconic. But now when we look at today, I feel like the advertising culture has changed drastically. And
Yeah.
yes, we mentioned this in the beginning. I feel like a lot of commercials now are very dull and bland. There's not as
Mm,
much effort put in because a lot of it's just about getting the product sold instead of trying to convince the person why they need the product.
yeah. They don't tell
And
stories as often as
and
they
they don't
do,
tell
or as they
stories
did.
exactly. Exactly, 100%. And commercials sometimes now are only 5 to 10 seconds long because of people's attention spans, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Have you seen any modern day commercials that sort of take you back or remind you of the commercials that we grew up on? And even
Not
prior to that?
not really unless they're either reworkings or re-airings of older commercials.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because
Yeah.
I remember Campbell's Soup had one a few years ago. It's one of the most iconic commercials they have. It was a holiday commercial that they reworked entirely to kind of fit the new age. They sometimes still, excuse me, they sometimes still air the original version of it, but basically it's this snowman that's outside and it uses the song Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow. And the snowman comes inside and he begins to melt away into a little boy once his mom gives him a bowl of Campbell's soup.
Oh, I remember that. Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, and they reworked that commercial so many times and
Mm,
stuff like that kind of throws me back because it kind of
I
reminds you
see.
of that. I'd say holiday commercials too.
Yeah,
Because I
for
mean
sure.
like the iconic what do you call it? The Hershey's with the little bells, the little ding ding ding
Oh,
ding 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 ding
I
ding
love
ding
that
ding ding ding
one. Or the
ding.
Kleenex commercial in the Christmas town, and the little elf has a cold or
Right.
something. And
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, those
Yep.
those are iconic.
Yeah,
They're
I'd say
iconic.
holiday commercials still kind of hit the mark just because
Yeah.
that's when I think a lot of pastimes come back, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
or when people
Yeah.
want to be nostalgic is around the holidays. So I feel like they still try to make that push. I think Super Bowl commercials, of course, still try because of course it's
Yeah.
one of the biggest events. But aside from that, I really don't think so. I hate to say it.
Yeah, yeah. The only one that comes to mind to me that doesn't necessarily resemble it, but makes me feel sort of the same way as
Mhm.
I do when I watch older commercials are the State Farm Mayhem commercials. And I don't know why. I
Oh
think it's just
yeah.
that element of comedy that pulls me in without using a celebrity that really allows me to just sit and enjoy this piece of 30-second TV
Right.
more than other things.
Right, right. Absolutely. No, I
Yeah.
agree. And I think some still kind of hold up. I think the
Mhm.
Clydesdales hold up well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, I think one of my other favorites was Geico. This was about 10 years ago. They did a whole campaign called It's What You Do. And basically it had like different things. And like one of them was this guy who was warming up a burrito and then Europe shows up to sing the final 10 seconds of It's the Final Countdown. And it goes,
That's
if you're the
funny.
band Europe, you love a final countdown. It's what you do. I think Geico's commercials have held up, because I feel like they're
True.
always trying new things.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Obviously, Budweiser's trying new things. I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of different companies are trying new things, but there's a lot now that also they're just not doing a whole lot. They just bring in a celebrity, somebody
Yeah.
or they're just trying to do something stupid to make a quick buck.
Yeah, or they platform it specifically for like a YouTube ad or a
Yep,
TikTok and
exactly.
Facebook ad. Now, for those who are not necessarily familiar with either TV commercials because all you do is stream or vice versa, how could you best describe what differentiates a commercial from, say, like a YouTube or TikTok ad?
YouTube and TikTok ad is usually, for somebody who does not have a long attention span, it's made to get by quick, or else they give you the
Mm-hmm.
option to skip it. And then they'll say, hey, before you skip this ad, listen to this. And then they'll say something within that quick span. And then once the skip button shows up, they stop talking about whatever's relevant.
Yeah. It
And
gives us more freedom to avoid being, swayed by brands.
yeah, and I agree in that regard, but it definitely loses the warmth
You're right.
and innate inviting nature of the old commercials of the past,
For
you know.
sure. For
And
sure. As much as we love the past, we can also absolutely appreciate the present. And, in thinking about the present and the past, is there a favorite commercial of all time for you? Like one that you love of all time? And can it be aired today in 2026?
it actually still does get aired to this day.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And
And
what
it
is that?
is the discount tire commercial with the old lady throwing the
Oh,
tire through the window. So, for those of you who haven't seen this commercial was actually shot in Arizona too, which I think is awesome.
how
Um,
funny.
Basically, this little old lady, she's, wearing, a dress. She has the gloves on. She resembles somebody probably from like the 30s or 40s.
Yep.
She rolls a tire up, and then this narrator comes over and goes, if ever you're not satisfied with one of our tires, please feel free to bring it back. And she grabs the tire and absolutely chucks it through the window. And then the guy goes, thank you, Discount Tire Company.
Oh,
And
my.
that
That's
commercial
brilliant.
still airs to this day and holds
That's
a
brilliant.
record along with the Tootsie Pop commercial for being one of the longest running commercials ever.
Now that's how you make a commercial, people. Come on.
Absolutely. I've seen that commercial even in the last year on TV.
Oh man, that's a beautiful thing. That truly is a beautiful thing.
What about you, my friend?
Funny enough, the one that comes to mind actually isn't even from the United States. It's from Canada,
Okay.
from a cleaning company. I believe it's a cleaning company called Vim, and it's a cream commercial for their Vim cream. And I
Okay.
actually watched this on YouTube in like 2009. It actually came out in 2004, and it to this day is my favorite commercial of all time. In film school about like 8 years ago, I also remade it in one of my classes too. So that's
I think
just
I
how
remember
much
you
I
telling me about
love it.
this. Okay. Yeah.
In 2004, a mother in prison commercial humorously depicts a child speaking to her exhausted mother. So think low lights, a woman behind a glass screen, and her daughter looking extremely sad, sort of culminating in the belief that she's been in prison, i.e., that the mother is locked up, before revealing that she's just simply exhausted from scrubbing a bathtub. The camera pans away, and
my
it turns out that the
God.
mom's just in a bathtub. She's not in prison. And that's so funny because I don't know Vim. I will never purchase Vim because I'm not Canadian. I'm from the United States.
Right.
But that commercial, because of how well written it is, will forever be ingrained in my mind because of how funny it is.
That is incredible. You'll have to send me that commercial later because I want to check that out.
Oh man, it's so simple and dumb, but oh man, it's my favorite commercial of all time.
Absolutely. Well, my friend, I think with that's another episode in the books.
Yes, that wraps up our look at iconic commercials. These 10 to 50-second blips of media-shaped pop culture sparked catchphrases and became part of our collective memory. From unforgettable jingles to cinematic storytelling, these ads prove that sometimes the best commercials feel less like marketing and more like art. Thanks for tuning in into Rewind Room. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and press that notification button. I'm Ramona.
My name is John.
And we'll catch you on the Rewind.
Absolutely. Take care, folks.